Do you want to bring some structure to the social media content for your business? Well, 5 years ago, I wrote the book on just that, and it is still as relevant as ever today. Let's take a look. So here we are, content. This is a book I wrote and released on Amazon just over 5 years ago about the methodology of how to actually prepare and decide what you're posting on social media. Fun fact, this did better in Vietnam than it did in the UK and US combined. In short, a publisher reached out, paid a nice upfront fee, and they launched it in Vietnam, and it is still doing really well out there today. And that's because the principles are still as valid as ever. Platforms evolve, the types of content we put out there have slightly evolved as well. But let's take a bit of a look back in the past and we'll see that the core principles are still there. So to the side of me now, you will see what looks like a school worksheet. And this is something I used to use with my social media clients back in the day to basically take the principles of a book and actually walk through it in a real world with them. So the biggest problem that many organizations had back then, and still do now, is they post about too many things all at once. There's too much noise and no focus, which is why we took the approach to take all those ideas and then start streamlining it into reinforced messages. We all know the principle of the 7 key touch points of marketing, where on that 7th point, I can't wiggle the right finger now, but on that 7th point, realistically, that's when you're likely to convert someone to be a customer. So it's about reinforcing those messages along that journey, not just giving them something new entirely, because it's just gone, it's over the red. So let's start from the top. Basically, we've got what we call the pool. This is your idea pool, where you'll showcase different concepts, ideas, and things that you could potentially talk and post about. Now, for this example, let's use a burger brand. I'm using that because I'm pretty sure in the book there's one about a burger brand, and I will pull some photos out in a minute and we'll use those as a bit of a walkthrough guide. So let's go through to today. Today, England are playing in the Euros. Pretty sure it's today. They've got a late match, I think. But that's an opportunity if you run a restaurant. You want to be promoting to people watching the England match and promoting your delivery services. Prime time. So it's about, have we got an offer wrapped around that at an off-peak hour? How can we showcase that? Perfect. So we're going to talk about the England match. I might have a new product. I might have the big bad boy burger, whatever it's going to be. Let's talk about that. Let's also talk about our local produce. People don't like mass-produced stuff anymore. People really resonate if you can showcase your route to market for your produce and you've got local, organic, hand-reared ingredients. I don't know, whatever you want to say. So that is a key thing there as well. So we could keep going. We'd fill this idea pool up with other various different topics, like, I don't know, free desserts on a Tuesday, new vegan burgers. We're introducing a new milkshake. We're now open till 7 o'clock on a certain day, whatever. But let's streamline it to those 3 initial topics: Euros, new big bad boy burger, whatever I called it before, and local produce. Let's pick those as our theme. So we'll bring those down to this middle tier here. So A, B, and C. These are the themes we're going to work with. And we're going to then split these out into having 3 different messages for each different theme. So each message would tell the story of this theme slightly differently, but it reinforces that message we're trying to get across every single time. So let's use local produce. That's always a nice, easy one. So I'm going to quickly skip through this book here, see if I can find a page, because I've got a feeling that was the one. So we've got our sale event. So back in the time, we actually did about doing a lunch offer. Just after that, new vegan burger. God damn it. It's like I can almost remember what I wrote 5 years ago. And I know it is in here because I saw the artwork the other day. There we go, brand values. So this is about using only the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to ensure the highest quality produce. And you can see we've got some example posts on the page here, and we will stick those on the screen as we go. So one of the messages for this can be all of our beef in our burgers is ground on site and locally sourced from Fred's Butchers. So there you go, you can tag Fred's Butchers, you can do a bit of cross posting, gives them the incentive to share your post as well, and you get that message of locally sourced, supporting local business, etc, etc. We then got about never frozen. That's what gives it the sizzle. Something a bit cheeky, showcasing a nice close-up of some burgers being cooked on the griddle, nice and to the point, just gets that message across of we use fresh produce. Now, the one I always do quite like is, odds are you travelled further than our ingredients. Basically, as you can see, we've got a field across the road from a restaurant with the cows in. So literally, they came across the road. So there is our 3 different messages that we could use for that theme. And I say we can work through the other different ideas and do exactly the same for them as well. Next, we need to start scheduling our content. So easy way here is we label our content A123, B123, C123. Gives us an easy reference point for working with it going forwards. And as you can see, we've got a 1 week timeline here for 3 different platforms, in case you want to vary your posting times for each. Now, with this number of themes, upon reflection now, I would treat this as a fortnightly piece of content, unless you want to be doubling up your posts on each day. Depends what your appetite is for posting really, but let's think of a 2 week timetable realistically for those 9 pieces of content. Now, what you'd do is you'd go along and you want to have an even spread of your different letters as you go across that period. So you don't want to bunch necessarily all the A's at the front of a week and then all the B's. You probably want to spread them out a little bit. Now, let's say, for example, if we're looking at the ones with the Euros, there's no point scheduling posts about that after the match has taken place, unless you know England are getting through to the next round. So keep that in mind. We all know what the team's like. Hopefully, we'll do all right. So have that even spread of content, and you may find that you want to actually schedule things on different platforms at different times. So no, Twitter we now know is now called X, but then you've got Instagram and Facebook. It's also worth noting as well, which doesn't necessarily reflect on here, but it does in the book, you're about to rewrite things a little bit differently for each different platform. So the more longer form piece of content you might put out or wording on Facebook, you might format and structure a little bit differently to go on X, because it's focused on more shorter posts. So let's say, for example, you're going to post on Instagram at lunchtime. You might then aim to post around 2:30, 3 o'clock on Facebook, that same message. Now, the reason I do this is people go on a phone at lunch on their different platforms, flicking around. They'll then see the post first time on Instagram and go, ooh. And then you've got that same message, but you know what people are like. They just flick down the different platforms all the time. Tea break maybe at 3 o'clock. They'll then, instead of seeing that post twice on in that one session, they'll then all of a sudden go, oh, on Facebook, that then comes up and hits you. So I get the algorithm flexes a little bit, but it saves them seeing it at the same time on both platforms. It just staggers it and reinforces that familiar message. So have a bit of a play and work out how you want to best structure your scheduling. Now, there's always various tools for doing it and making life a little easier for yourself. I might link a couple below, but yeah, that's the principle on there. Now, once you move down the page a little bit further, it's almost a bit of a checklist really to make sure that you're ready to actually post and schedule this content. So again, you've got your post column, just use your labels A123, B123, C123, etc. And then looking at what type of content or asset you want to put with that message. So is it the picture of a close-up, someone flipping the burgers? Is it friendly Fred the Butcher waving at you? Or is it someone with a takeaway watching the football at home? These are all things that you can then list in here of what you want to be posting. And you can tick off, have you got the content already? Because you might have some archive footage on file. Or you can task it to someone to go and take that footage. So you could say, oh, Tom, when you go home later, just stick a pre-recording of a football on and have one of our sort of boxes in your hand and just get someone to take a picture from behind the sofa. So it makes it look like you're watching the football with our food. Here's some dinner to take home. Use your team to help take this content. So that's always the other big thing about this book is utilizing your team and getting them part of the process. They'll feel more valued, makes your life easier. Delegate certain content tasks to the team and make it a fun process shouting about your business. So that's one of the other key things that book talks about. Point over there because that's where it's sat on my desk. So following on next from that was stories. Now the book touches on it a little bit. Remember, this is 5 years ago. This is before, it does mention TikTok. TikTok hadn't hit the UK properly. I think Coca-Cola were the only real brand properly using it in the UK, but it was still people just dancing in China on it. That was in Korea. That was all TikTok was back then. So it doesn't touch on it much. It's before Instagram Reels. So you might want to take and evolve this part of the process a little bit, but it's about telling a story. So it's about looking at the different things that you can post. Instead of just putting a static poster style image on your story, creating something that will actually engage people. And you can then see in your statistics how engaged they really are by seeing, did they let them all play through? Did they quickly tap through all your content? Or did they go, nah, and skip on to the next profile to see what they've posted? So looking at how you can break it down. So let's think of an example. Let's use the England match tonight. You could have someone maybe calling a friend saying, oh yeah, we're going to get a takeaway tonight to watch the match. Are you in? You could then have a photo of over the shoulder of them ordering on their phone through the app. You could then showcase someone making the order in the restaurant and cooking the burgers. Then have the delivery person bringing the food, and then have that sort of shot we just spoke about, having, who'd be named as fictitious person, Tom, creating at home, which is someone eating whilst watching the football. And you can tell that sort of story because it brings them into the process, really, going, oh, I could invite my friends round tonight and watch the football with them. Oh, we could get a takeaway. Oh, look, they're actually showcasing this is actually freshly cooked ingredients. I haven't got to be cooking. Delivered fresh to my door. And yay, England scored and we won because I followed that process and ordered a takeaway. It's all these psychological things. So I'll link below somewhere where you can download this worksheet, and I'll also link a copy to the book here. Yes, it's 5 years old, but as you can see, these principles of still breaking down your content into different themes, reinforcing the messaging of those themes, is still as relevant today as ever, despite the fact that platforms evolved. There's a lot more focus on video. It's about getting those right messages across within these little mini campaigns, rather than just spamming the internet entirely with random messaging, which, let's be honest, is just over people's heads. So my name's Ryan, and thanks for watching.